Welcome to the Joe Watt podcast. I am Joao Vendramini from the UF-IFA's Range Cattle Research and Education Center, and today our guest is Mr. Jim Handley. Jim, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Jim, I would like to start with if you could please provide some information about your background and yourself.
Joe, my background is I was born and raised in Highlands County, in the community of Sebring, and just grew up. My father was a veterinarian who did a lot of all kind of animal work all over the Heartland Ridge, based in Highlands County. His practice crossed over into 5 or 6 counties, and I grew up traveling with him, going to ranches and dairies and large and small animal treatment, and basically cowboying around and working on ranches in Highlands and Okeechobee and Polk counties as a youngster. I went to school at the University of Florida. When I graduated from there, I took an internship with Ralston Purina, went to work for them in the nutrition business and worked for them 13 years. I was positioned in Ocala for a number of years, and then I moved up into Franklin, Tennessee, was a sales manager up there, and I came back home to Florida in the spring of 1998 to go to work for the Florida Cattlemens Association. So this is really only the second stop in my career post-college, and it's when we get to April, that will be 20 years that I've worked for the Florida Cattlemen's Association. My degree is animal science with a minor in ag business, or now it's called FRE. And I've enjoyed working with the animal industries a great deal.
And Jim, what is your current position at the Florida Cattlemen Association?
I wear several hats working for the Florida Cattlemen's Association, Joe. I, of course, am the executive vice president of the Florida Cattlemen's Association. I'm also the CEO of the Florida Beef Council. I'm the general manager / editor of the Florida Cattlemen and Livestock Journal. I am also the executive secretary of the Florida Cattlemen's Foundation and the executive director of the Cattle Enhancement Board. Basically, all those are various entities housed under the office of the state office there in Kissimmee. And each one has its own purpose and is a separate entity with a separate set of books, with a separate profit center or profit and loss center that we keep things totally separated, but under one house for efficiency. The primary role of the Cattlemen's Association. The Cattlemen's Association was established in 1934 by 10 or 11 visionary ranchers that felt like they could come together and work for the collective good of all the industry, working on issues such as flood control, animal research, disease management, the movement of cattle. They came together and formed the Florida Cattlemen's Association. They had an outstanding extension person named June Gunn that helped them as an organizer and a bookkeeper, if you will, and then they started affiliating individual counties. So we've been in existence over 80 years, and we're a membership grassroots driven organization comprised of 53 county organizations around the state. The purpose of the association, again, is to bring everybody together to work on a variety of subjects, but anything that has anything to do with land management, livestock, private property rights, utilizing land. As you well know, Joe, there's a lot of diversity in Florida's ag, and of course our ranchers, there's a lot of overlap. A lot of members of our organization are members in other commodity organizations, and we work collectively trying to defend their property rights and maintaining a business climate in which they might find profitability. Certainly our relationship with our land grant universities is very, very important. As you well know, as a member of the the ONA Range Cattle Experiment Station team. The Cattlemen's Association was heavily involved in the establishment of that unit many, many years ago. But that unit and all the other units, we rely on the work that you all do as researchers to help us improve our efficiency, to become better producers, better stewards of the environment, to get more out of the resources that we have at hand. So we take a great deal of time and put forth a lot of effort in trying to maintain a strong team, both at all three levels of the land grant system, the teaching element, because our future managers come out of the product they generate out of the graduates. Certainly the extension element, because that's the way we get the information out to individual counties and individual producers. And then, of course, the research you all do to bring us new practices is vital. I can't think of an operation in the state that has not utilized something, a new forage, a new fertilization, a new cattle management technique that wasn't the result of some of the fine work that you and your predecessors have done at one of our various units. So we value it a great deal, and will continue to be committed to working on it, because it is our, if you will, research arm to develop and advance our industry.
And Jim, throughout the year, we have few meetings where we get together, and I go to all the meetings, and it's a great opportunity to exchange ideas. And can you please describe to the listeners so the different meetings that we have throughout the year and the purpose and the content?
The business of the Florida Cattlemens Association revolves around four separate meetings a year. We meet on a quarterly basis. Our calendar year starts January 1 through December 31st. The first meeting of the calendar year is our legislative quarterly meeting. We conduct it in the state capitol in Tallahassee, and its intended purpose, certainly we have a meeting of our executive board. We have a meeting of our past presidents and executive board, and we have our board of directors meeting at this quarterly gathering. And at the board of directors meeting, of course, every county affiliate organization has an opportunity to seat a state director to serve as on the board of directors. But the legislative quarterly meeting is designed, and we streamlined it some, but it is designed to bring ranchers, bring hats and boots to the state capitol to interact with the elected officials, the decision makers in the state capitol. We always go the second week of the legislative session, and we're up there to help them understand our industry and the importance and the effect of their decisions on our industry. I mention again that we do work across commodities. We work very closely with our friends and brothers in the dairy industry, and of course Florida Farm Bureau and all the other commodity groups. Not only do our members have a lot of those commodities as part of their enterprises as well, but if it's good for a timber man, it's usually good for a rancher. If it's good for a citrus man or a cane man, it's good for a rancher. So there's a lot of work among the ag coalition in the state capitol to pull the wagon together, if you will, and that means lobbying for IFAS. That means lobbying for the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. That means working with our water management districts, certainly working with our leadership in the House and the Senate to secure funding in the areas that we hope will impact our industry. So the first meeting of the year is in the state capitol, and it's vital. It's probably the most important meeting we have as an effective industry organization, in that we are interacting with the elected officials to help them understand the importance of our industry, the people we employ, the taxes we pay, and asking them to please take into consideration our needs and the intended or unintended consequences of some of their actions might have toward ranching. So that meeting this year, because the session begins in January, that particular meeting this forthcoming year in 2018 will occur the 16th, 17th, and 18th of 2018. Following that is our annual meeting, which is a big, huge family gathering, our annual convention. It's more of a vacation / business meeting where our ranching families will come together for 3 to 4 days of networking, of fellowship, brotherhood. We certainly conduct our business meetings there. We always have our board of directors meeting, our executive meeting, and we have our all important committee meetings at these meetings, and invite all members to come and inject their input. In my 20 years, Joe, I've never seen an individual, member or not, never seen an individual not allowed time at the microphone if they had some input or a topic they wanted us to work on or address. At the annual meeting, it's a good opportunity to we interact and have a huge trade show with outstanding participation with our all important allied members. Our allied members are providers of goods and services to the industry, the pharmaceutical companies, the financial institutions, the fertilizer and chemical companies, tractors, equipment, you name it. If they sell a good or provide a service to our industry, we encourage them to be allied members, and we have an outstanding trade show with exclusive hours that gives our trade show folks, our allied members, and their representatives the opportunity to build relationships with the decision makers on all Florida's ranches that are able to attend. Subsequent to that, we have a fall quarterly meeting. Unfortunately, this particular year in September, we were hurricaned out. We elected to cancel that meeting because of Hurricane Irma, and it was a good decision because everybody was needing to be home to take care of their families and cattle operations. And then we have a year-end quarterly that is held at the tail end of the year. This year, it will be held November 30th and December 1st. It will be held in Gainesville.
Great. And Jim, at those meetings, before I go to that, so do we have a location for our annual convention for next year?
Yes, Joe. The annual convention for many, many years, for over 30 years, we've held it down at Marco Island. We're still not there. We're still not going back there because they continue to work on rebuilding that facility. So in June of 2018, the convention in June of 2018 will be held at the Omni at Champions Gate in the Orlando area. We've had great experience there. We've held the convention there twice, and we're going to hold it there again in 2018. We've not ruled out going back to Marco in future years, but we're still waiting on them to finish the total upgrade of their meeting facilities down there.
I have been member of the Research and Education Committee for almost 13 years now, and I enjoy every single one because we always come up with new ideas and suggestions, and we have a lot of good outcomes from those meetings. So can you please just give us a general idea of the committees and the structure, how the chair works, and so on and so forth?
Yes, Joe, of course. Of course, the association has policies that we establish and areas of focus and initiatives that we focus on, and the direction we take or the position we take on a given issue is a result of the input and this deep discussion within a given committee. We have a large number of committees and councils for the variety of things that the association works on. The 4 core committees that have been in existence the longest are the marketing committee, the environmental and private lands committee, the animal health committee, and the research and education committee. Those are 4 core committees. Of course, we have an allied committee, a youth committee, a public relations committee, a seed stock committee, a council for our magazine direction of the magazine, and several others that I haven't named. But those 4 core committees take up the areas or the topics pretty germane to their subject matter. Of course, research and education is just that. What are the research priorities that we think realistically can have the most impact to benefit our industry? What are areas of concern, problems, issues, challenges that ranchers are facing? And so we turn to, on an annual basis, the Research and Education Committee will establish a series of priorities and ask folks like yourself, researchers and educators, to focus on those areas to try to help us solve a problem, come up with a solution or something. The committee structure is open to anybody and everybody. Certainly the chair and vice chair are seated as a result of the appointment. They serve at the request of the sitting president of the association. The makeup of the association is such that we have 6 elected officers that are elected at our annual meeting and put in place by our membership. They are elected, and they're also elected at the general membership meeting. And there's an opportunity for anyone to be nominated for these officers. Typically, those 6 officers will stair-step up. Once you reach the level based on our bylaws, once you become the elected president-elect, then you are going to assuming you maintain your health and maintain, your residency here in the state, you will assume the position of the president. And the president seats the chair and the vice chair of our committees and asks them to serve on his behalf as the chair. Those can change every year. There is a term limit of 3 years, 3 consecutive years, and then a chairman has to roll off. And our thought there was to maintain some new energy, maintain some new ideas, not wear out the same set of volunteers. And so that system has worked very well. Typically, our chairmen have served 3 years. Oftentimes, the vice chair will step up and take the chair position, and then a new person will be plugged in to the vice chair position. But those 2 individuals drive, if you will, the agenda and the meeting of their given core committee. They are asked to maintain a core set of producers that would continuously be a part of their committee, and they invite a variety of outside speakers to come offer input on a variety of subject matter. If somebody brings something from a county organization, then then the officers and the executive board might say, well, we're going to pass that. That sounds like a marketing or transportation issue. We'll pass that to the marketing and transportation committee to vet. If it's an environmental issue or something having to do with private lands, they might pass it to the Environmental and Private Lands Committee. They may bring in some experts to discuss and put the topic under a microscope and determine a route or a path that we need to take to address that issue. It may mean legislative action at the state level, at the federal level. It may mean a funding issue. It may result in needing to do a study. The results come from the committee. The committees will bring forth action items when they give a committee report to the board of directors. Ultimately, the board of directors will vote and say this is the direction suggested by the committee, and the board would vote to advance that particular topic and instruct the staff to go flesh out the solution or go interact. If it's a research subject matter, go find the right researcher in a given institution, whether it be animal health related or soils related or forage related or exotics. Go find the right professional and identify that person and say, will you work on this particular problem? And it may be a collection of people, but really at the core work of the association to focus on issues happens at the committee level, and every committee is open to any member of the association. The committees meet simultaneous. Sometimes it's a challenge if you have interest in multiple topics for you to be in the environmental and private lands committee. You'll get something done there, and then you'll jump over and go to the research committee and meet with that set of people. Typically, our research stations and the individual scientists will give reports there, updates, and help bring information to those in attendance of those meetings. Sometimes, if there's a subject matter that we think is broad enough, we will ask those speakers to come to our board of directors meetings to educate them on a given matter to broaden the understanding across the board.
And Jim, we are heading towards the end of our interview here. Before we finish, I would like to ask you 3 quick questions. That is just 1-2 word sentence answer. So it's really quick. It's personal. You can just answer the way that you like to. And if you have to pick 2 forage species in the state of Florida, the 2 most important for you, which one will be?
Forages?
Correct.
Oh, certainly Bahia grass and probably Hemithria.
Okay. And how about 2 cattle breeds?
Well, you're never going to get away from Brahman influence. I'd say, I'd have to say 3. Our base herd, is based on Brahman, Angus, and Hereford-based cattle. We're not going to get far from Brayford and Brangus type cows in the state as far as our mama cow herd, and then certainly utilizing terminal cross herds like injected Charolais or some of the other continental breeds.
And if you have some spare time in your busy schedule and you will have a choice to hunt, fish, or play golf, what would you do?
Oh, I spend my time hunting and fishing in the woods, on ranches. I have the opportunity to enjoy I have a lot of patience to wait on a big deer or a gobbler, but I don't have much patience playing golf.
All right, Jim, I would like to thank you for your time, and I would like also to mention that one of the highlights of the research center at ONA is our relationship with the Florida Cattlemens Association. I think this is the biggest asset that we have, and we have a very great relationship, and we'll continue, I think, with that relationship for a long time. Thank you for participating in the podcast, Jim, and thank you for listening to the podcast. I am Joao Vendramini.
Joe, what?